Live from Studio G and fighting for you for the Foxhole Freedom. It's time for another brand new hour. Glad to have you here. Warning, the Steve Gruber Show often results in a triggering effect, extending periods of American pride and American optimism and uncontrollable enthusiasm in this country's future. Kicking off the live broadcast and Real America's Voice, MTN, and reaching a growing global audience worldwide. It's the Steve Gruber Show. Thank you for being here. Three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, Elise Stefanik, who opted to remain in her congressional seat, is now nixing the opportunity of staying there. She wants to run for governor of New York. A big move. Number two, the Trump administration moving to strip the IRS of millions of rounds of ammunition and the guns that go with it. Yeah, it's true after years of building up stockpiles. And number three, rogue activist judges doing their level best to stop President Trump's plan to keep Americans safe from the fallout of the Biden administration's border invasion. Judge James Boasberg is at it again, informing the Justice Department that he believes he's found, quote, probable cause to hold President Trump in contempt over his use of deportation flights to send illegals out of this country and back where they came from. You heard me right. He thinks he can hold the president of these United States in contempt for doing his job and enforcing immigration laws. Boasberg's feathers have been ruffled, of course. He says President Trump showed willful disregard towards his emergency order on March 15th that commanded the United States to bring back planes of illegal aliens, gang members, that were sent to a prison in El Salvador. This despite the fact that the United States Supreme Court has already ruled that President Trump was not out of bounds in using the Alien Enemies Act to deport those violent criminals. The judge is demanding and continues to demand the government respond in a week, April 23rd, to provide some kind of defense. Yeah, White House Communications Director Stephen Chung says that the president plans to seek immediate appellate relief as Trump remains committed to keeping terrorists off our streets. The opposition is just throwing anything and everything up, hoping something sticks, hoping to bog down President Trump's agenda with legal filing after legal filing. Democrat Jamie Raskin couldn't lather on the praise any thicker after hearing about this latest development, of course. Listen to this.
Look, Judge Boasberg, who was a President Bush appointee when he originally went on the bench, and he was Justice Kavanaugh's roommate at Yale, will go down in history as a great judicial hero for what he's doing here, because he is trying to put up a huge stop sign against the lawlessness. He said, I issued an injunction for you to not let those planes go, or if they were in the air, to turn them around. They hadn't left yet, but you willfully, deliberately defied a court order. You can't do that. Even the President of the United States can't do that.
Yeah. I don't remember, maybe you do, but I don't remember Raskin making a fuss or kicking and screaming. When Joe Biden bragged about working around the Supreme Court to burden the American public with the cost of student loan forgiveness, which the court was very clear about, you can't do that, and Biden says, well, going to do it anyway. Remember that? Joe Biden tweeted, the Supreme Court tried to block me, but they didn't stop me. Democrats applauded his bravery. This time, Trump is kicking out actual violent terrorists from known gangs. Terrorists, kicking them out of the country, who should never have been here in the first place because they're here illegally. And Democrats applaud the judge who's making that difficult, even demanding that these gangbangers be returned to the United States. Another roadblock coming out of the district courts. Judge Indira Tilwani is halting the Trump administration from ending deportation protections for more than 530,000, in fact, Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, Venezuelans. These 530,000 immigrants were admitted to the United States by way of the Biden-era humanitarian parole program, a program created out of thin air using executive parole privilege. You see, the executive does have a lot of control over who comes and who cannot come to the country. So it's okay for Joe Biden to use executive parole privilege, later halted due to the evidence of extensive fraud in the program. But now, this Boston judge, another federal district judge, says President Donald Trump can't undo the executive decision by Joe Biden and can't undo the damage. Talwani wants a case-by-case review for every single person who used the program, case by case, for 530,000 illegal aliens. Where was this kind of concern for diligence when these people were just rubber stamped on the way in? No background information, no vetting. Because don't forget, a lot of these countries don't share it with us. They don't give us any information. This is what's become crystal clear. Democrats, along with these rogue judges, care more about virtue signaling in favor of illegal aliens and even criminals, outright violent criminals, than they do for the constituents who pay their salary and live in their districts. Here's Maryland's shameless Senator Chris Van Hollen, using taxpayer dollars to fly to El Salvador to visit an illegal alien, or try, that was deported there. The one that has been in the media so much this week and they're fixated on. Listen.
And I said, I'm not asking him to smuggle Mr. Abrego Garcia into the United States. I'm simply asking him to open the door of CCOT and let this innocent man walk out. So they should just let him go. And they should let him go, and we will find a way to get him from San Salvador to Maryland, the state of Maryland. I won't stop trying, and I can assure the president, the vice president, that I may be the first United States senator to visit El Salvador on this issue, but there will be more, and there will be more members of Congress coming.
Yeah, okay, good luck. This is the hill they want to die on? Psst, let them do it. It's what the Democrat Party prides itself on, that they're itching to ensure the welfare of individuals who are not even American citizens at the expense of American citizens. Yeah. Citizens like Patty Marin lost her daughter Rachel at the hands of an illegal alien who was allowed into this country from where? El Salvador. She lives where? Maryland. Paying the salary of Senator Van Hollen. Here's how she's responding. Listen.
To have a senator from Maryland who didn't even acknowledge or barely acknowledge my daughter and the brutal death that she endured, leaving her 5 children without a mother and now a grandbaby without a grandmother, so that he can use my taxpayer money to fly to El Salvador to bring back someone that's not even an American citizen. Why does that person have more right than I do, or my daughter, or my grandchildren? I don't understand this.
I don't understand it either, ma'am. Most of us do not. But the Democrats more interested in what Abrego Garcia, Senor Garcia, has to say, even though we just discovered that Abrego Garcia's wife filed a restraining order against him in 2021 over domestic violence claims, extensive domestic violence claims. Yeah, and we're going to get to that and dig deeper. Because the Democrats really are going to die on this hill. They're going to die for illegal aliens. They're going to die for gangbangers. They're going to die for wife beaters over the people that live in this country. They value these illegal aliens more than they value you. We'll continue talking about it straight ahead on the Steve Gruber Show. All right, so the Democrats truly will die on this hill. They're going to go to bat for the illegal aliens, for the people that beat their wives and these criminals. 530,000 were flown into the country unvetted just so they could skip over the line and give a false impression that the number of people coming across the southern border had lessened. It never did. Well, it did as soon as Donald Trump became president. Representatives Garcia and Frost are requesting that the House Oversight Committee give them permission to travel to El Salvador to do another photo op like Van Hollen just did. Here's a Democrat strategist's reaction to the visit. Listen.
Well, I think it's a good step. I would have loved to see an entire congressional delegation go with him.
That may be starting, right?
And you know, hopefully that happens, because I think, you know, owing to the reporting and to the judge's comments, the one clear and consistent fact that we have to keep in mind, that an individual is in prison and he was entitled to due process and didn't receive it. Period. Full stop. right?
Regardless of immigration status.
Correct. He was entitled to due process. He did not get it, and now he is in prison. How many times have we heard that in communities across the country, even if you are a citizen? We always think that that is wrong. And so for the senator to go down there, call attention to it, and I hope that others follow, it is incredibly important that he do that.
I think he's right. I wish an entire Democrat delegation would go to El Salvador. I think they should do it every couple of days. I think it's compelling television to see Democrats standing there demanding the rights of MS-13 gang members. I think it's exactly what the country needs to see. Who do the Democrats support? Is it working class people? Is it the middle class? Is it you getting up to go to work today? Or is it some guy with tattoos all over his body and face that they think should be living in Maryland next to some hardworking tax-paying Americans? Yeah, the party has completely lost its way. Rachel Marin deserved the right to live, but hers was snuffed out. Hers and many others. And many more to come. If these gangbangers aren't deported fast enough, people will die. Listen to ICE Director Tom Homan. Here he is.
And I'm just as disgusted that any congressional representative is going to run to El Salvador his aid. When yesterday, I read in his state, an illegal alien charged with murder was released back into the community, and not the ICE detainer wasn't honored, and ICE had to go find him in his state. In his state.
In his state. That's right. Tom Homan is right. Tom Homan is right to point out the twisted priorities of politicians like Van Hollen. Another thing I'd like to point out, Senor Abrego Garcia was shielded from deportation to El Salvador in 2019 because he feared violence from a gang, a rival gang. That's why he was protected and not sent back. Barrio 18, why? Because it's a rival gang. He's a member of MS-13. Scott Jennings on CNN pointed this out. Pretty funny. Listen.
Was effectively disappeared to a foreign country, a country which he came from, which he was basically got
it's
asylum.
Not a foreign country. He lives there.
Excuse me, no, he does not live there.
He's a citizen of El Salvador.
Scott, excuse me, he got asylum in this country.
He's a citizen.
Scott,
does he have asylum?
Excuse me, let me finish.
No, he doesn't.
No, it's not that he. Sorry, it's not that he got asylum. He got a judge to say that he could not be.
Does he have a deportation order?
Excuse me, he could not be. Can you let me finish? He could not be. He could not be rendered back to El Salvador because he was at risk of being harmed in El Salvador. That is what a federal judge. That is what a federal judge.
By who? No, who was he at risk of?
Excuse me. That was what a federal judge said. He could not be deported.
He could not be.
Who could he be at risk by? I don't know.
But a rival gang.
No. Excuse me, not Scott. Excuse.
Yeah, rival gang. Democrats hate the facts. So let's end this with some more facts, shall we? Some good news, actually. Some good news. Although there's more criminals to root out, the fact of the matter is that every American citizen, whether or not they voted for Donald Trump, is safer today than they were under Joe Biden, for one of many reasons. Border Patrol being allowed to do its job again. It's pretty remarkable. Here's the Border Patrol chief. Listen.
And look, I can tell you right now, the Border Patrol morale is going through the roof. We've had the handcuffs taken off. We're allowed to actually do our job, which is go out and enforce the law. Under this administration, they have literally taken the handcuffs off and allowed us to enforce law instead of policies that were created to contradict the law. And so our morale has continued to rise. I'm actually out in the field today. I was over in Rio Grande yesterday. Outstanding morale in El Paso today, visiting with the troops out here and the agents, and the morale is just through the roof.
And how's recruiting?
Recruiting is looking great. We're seeing some of our highest numbers ever. Really excited about that because, as you know, during the previous 4 years under the Biden administration, we saw a mass exodus from the Border Patrol, and we saw some of our lowest recruiting numbers. We're seeing the opposite. We're seeing agents pull retirement paperwork in order to continue staying in and serve, and we're seeing our recruiting numbers go through the roof.
Yeah, recruiting numbers are great there. Recruiting numbers are great in the military. Recruiting numbers are the best they've been in years and years across law enforcement and in the military. So while the mainstream media and Democrat politicians continue to moan and groan and complain about illegal aliens being returned to their own countries, rest in this. The Trump administration is pushing full steam ahead, making America safe again. If you're not an illegal alien, you can get a good night's sleep. You can rest easily because you know that the American government is there working for you finally and not for somebody else. Isn't that remarkable? And again, for me, what's really remarkable, Democrats want to die on this hill to protect the illegals and gangbangers over you and me. Good luck with that. Some coffee is weak, some coffee is corporate nonsense, and then there is 1775 coffee. It's what we wake up every day with here on the Steve Gruber Show and the entire team. Bold, high quality, built for those who refuse to compromise, like you and me. Hand-picked, high-altitude, single-origin beans roasted to perfection. No toxins, no shortcuts. What is it? It's just damn good coffee. You want your cup? Well, head to 1775coffee.com/Gruber. Use the promo code Gruber. You'll save 10%. And for every dollar you spend, you'll have an entry to win a Cybertruck and $30,000 in cash. Bold flavor, exceptional quality, no BS. 1775coffee.com/Gruber. Hey, I wouldn't tell you to drink coffee that wasn't the best. Trust me, I live on this stuff. We'll be right back.